Now, I want to preface this story with, I have no problem with players cross-playing gender at all. If you're a dude and want to RP as a woman, go for it. Are you a girl and want to play as a dude? Go nuts. Anything in between or beyond, playing anything and anyone else? Hell yeah, go for it. Hell, I played a couple of women characters myself, and being a DM, I have done a whole lot of NPCs that were women as well, and they are among my favorite characters that I've made. Just wanted to share that before getting into the story, because there were far more what the fuck worthy quandaries than the genders of the characters involved. Let me tell you, I have some regrets when it comes to playing tabletop RPGs. How I've made calls as a game master, what I've made as a player, who I've decided to play with, or even what dice to use at a table. Like, is this set of clear blue dice with gold flakes I bought for a pirate campaign suitable for my character, or should I have gone with the ones that have skull and crossbones floating in them? I went with the blue dice, by the way. Among the many regrets I have as a game master though, my god, I swear, my brother, who I'll call Val from here on, has driven me to the brink of quitting as a game master so many times with the shit that I let him get away with. I'm talking about playing characters that purposefully rub the party's rhubarb the wrong way, making questionable in-game choices that feel like they were made specifically to challenge me, to even purposely gaslighting about what he said to somehow quote-unquote win a conversation. That last one really gets to me because it was a, wait, how does that work even in game moment that he then changes to, well, why didn't you just say that's how the rules worked, and just really ruined the rest of the night for me. He's really good at that. But few compared to the time that I ran a game of Dungeons & Dragons for my brother and Link. It's the late 2000s. I've graduated high school by a few years now, and me, my brother, and our friend Link all hang out basically every weekend watching movies, playing video games, and Dungeons & Dragons 3.5. It was that era where everyone didn't play 4th edition, so when Paizo released Pathfinder, we decided to pick it up. In this story's case, it was a reboot of our Kit in Kaboodle game. Don't really remember why we rebooted it, or maybe it was the same game and we just lost our sheets or something and we just instead started 3-point Pathfinder. Now, I've spoken about this campaign before in the past, but for those not familiar, in the Kit in Kaboodle campaign, we're all catfolk. My DMPC was a barbarian by the name of Nekusuru, aka N. Link's character was a rogue named Gitari, and she was the plan maker. Mind you, Kit's plans were always really good plans. The dice said otherwise though. And then there is my brother, Val, playing a sorceress going dragon disciple called Boots, and was very much a massive destructive pyromaniac. We all go around the world doing random wacky adventures that include anime, movie, and video game references. Nothing really of a plot, just very episodic and generally just a good time. Now, I don't remember the actual level we were at, but we were high enough level that we were looking at maybe making a legacy character campaign, where we made new characters that were kids to the party. Not just being catfolks, but even just adopted kids that the party rose to adventurehood. I don't remember what Nikusuru's kid was like, but I remember Link's. I recall because it was a neat moment of character building where the party had slain a group of harpies that were harassing the local populace. The party then finds a clutch of mostly destroyed eggs, and Kitari adopted one as her own. It was honestly kind of a sweet moment, since that harpy kid did her own thing afterwards. Boots, on the other hand, did some unhinged shit. I'd brought up the Legacy campaign around the time when we had gained possession of a certain, very cursed RPG supplement. I'm sure many of folk have spoken about it to this point, but man, if you think tabletop gaming has somehow become hypersexualized now, just remember that in the 3.5 days, we had the bulk of erotic fantasies. This was a thing, and if you looked at the cover and the name of the book, and you didn't know what erotic meant, you were not ready for the contents of the book. Hell, I knew what the hell erotic meant, and I still wasn't ready for the contents of the book. Erotic Fantasies is a very, very, very adult supplement for Dungeons & Dragons, where everything is about sex, fetishes, and even added some rules that honestly made some pretty good sense. Like, instead of just charisma, they had charisma as a force of personality stat, and added appearance, which was more of a stat to tell you how you looked. A very, very awesome idea. But for every rule that made sense and felt like they were at home in a tabletop RPG system, There were about 10 or so things in the book that were unhinged and really drove the point home that this book was primarily about sex, kinks, and fetishes. Like a spell that cursed a target so that whenever they had an orgasm, they take 1d6 points of damage per caster level of the caster. Or another that makes the target impotent. Sure, there's a spell for druids that calms the weather and additional racial templates that were way more interesting than what was in the core books of the Player's Handbook and Monster Manual. But then you also get stuff like the Pleasure Golem, a prestige class called the Sacred Prostitute, and a bunch of rules for diseases that were basically just STDs, magical and mundane. Imagine getting magical crabs. So yeah, we got a hold of that book and suddenly Boots is looking to retrain her spells as a sorceress for things like cursed orgasms and grope. Yes, that second spell does exactly what you think it does. We'd mostly got it for laughs really, and I'll defend the art used as a rather eager attempt to make something special for fantasy settings, albeit at a very low budget. Plus, it's not like we hadn't made some stupid cursed magic items ourselves, because we were just immature teenagers and young adults. But Val took that book and thought it a treasure trove of grand, if not questionable, character options, because in those pages was also a chart for interspecies crossbreeding. I think you know where this might be going. The characters took some downtime for their kids, raising and training them, nurturing them, helping the other characters raise their kids. Whole lot of roleplay, and in the case of Val, a whole lot of rolling, because in Boots' case, her entire downtime was spent actually whoring out for the purpose of having kids and getting a lot of money. Lots of kids, and a lot of money. It felt like Val thought I was going to kill off all of his legacy characters and he was going to need to make a bunch in prep for TPK after TPK or something. I don't even remember how many children he ended up getting Boots to have, and with how many different species. I just remember having to roll a lot to see whether or not Boots got STDs until she finally took the spell to prevent it. And I wouldn't even remember the legacy character Val had come up with after all of that, were not thanks to Link's chronicling. We at least know that the game was taking place in Pathfinder 1st edition, and the kid was a dragon-blooded catfolk ranger with the focus on their animal companions, where my brother was going to have several animal companions with that character, kind of like a Pokemon trainer. I honestly only remember at least one whole evening spent rolling for so many things. Like how much she was paid, who Boots' partners were, if she contracted anything, if she got pregnant, and so on. Bear in mind too, after Boots did get a kid that had some promise to my brother's liking, the downtime essentially then grew from like a few weeks to 9 months. Actually, maybe less, because there might have been a spell to reduce the length of children's growth or something. I dare not look through that book again for my sanity. So, what happened to all the kids that my brother said Boots had? Beats me. We only made their characters for the legacy game, then bailed on the idea for something else. I forget what. All this to say that, yeah, my brother paused in-game time so that he could have his character bang 1/4 of the city's population for a lot of baby making. Usually I would have taken my brother's ideas with a grain of salt, but man, making a business as a prostitute really piled on the salt really quickly, especially after he tacked on the idea of baby making for every single time he went out to do business. Thank you everyone so very much for watching and listening. This was one of the more what the hell sort of stories I've had on my brain for way too long, and I just had to get it out there in some way, shape, or form. I'm sorry if this caused any psychic damage to any of you. If you guys like this stupid ass story, consider dropping a like, following, subscribing, all that fun stuff helps out the channel, and if you want to support the channel in a financial fashion, I have a bevy of links down in the description below. Every little bit helps, keeps a roof over my head, food in my belly, and goes to upgrading my PC whenever I have the extra pocket change. Thank you once again everyone for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next adventure. Take care. Cheers.